Oh, we live. What's up, YouTube? This is my first time going live. I was just seeing if it worked, but I'm really sitting here at this moment reflecting on life and so many things just as it pertains to life as a spirit and as a human being, as one. You know, today I woke up this morning with my grandfather, learning that he's been in and out of the hospital. And not that y'all would know the background of my family, but I got my father, my uncle, my grandfather. I got a little brother. And in life, our life, we haven't necessarily been able to be the closest with each other. Just how life has gone in its own ways and how people are developing, how the way I look at it, the cycles of time. My grandfather is a man who he's a good man, and but there's a lot that he wasn't able to learn himself or develop character-wise, personality-wise. And as I've gotten older, you think of it a lot of ways when you're younger that personality differences, which is still the case in a source, but to get to what I'm saying is basic immaturity. A lot of times it's immaturity, not in the sense to down them, but things that didn't get developed. Our lives are so fragile as human beings, you know. When my grandfather grew up, he had 10 siblings, 10 other siblings with my great grandmother and my great grandfather, Catherine and Joby. And I'm not looking to point heavy fingers, but to still see life clear and to see things as they are. And it's like they didn't grow up with a lot of super direct intention that's needed for the development of a person, of a child, of anybody, male, female, any child needs focus and development from community of people. In our lives here, as in Black America, in America, it, because of just the way the world is, the system of living that we're amongst, cultural stress, and so many things, our lives are overwhelmed with just basic survival. And it's like my grandfather, them, their generation didn't necessarily get all the attention they raised themselves a lot of the times in certain ways. So that means emotionally, more specifically, to be more specific, emotionally, they didn't really develop like that. They haven't developed to all the time. Not everybody, but a lot of our elders have not matured to a certain space, and that means their children, which would be my parents, there are certain gaps missing in their life. There are certain things that they didn't get to necessarily learn. There's things that they didn't necessarily get to. Hi, hello. Oh, people are joining my live. Hey, how y'all doing? My name's Justin, or I go by the Creative Seer. I'm a visual artist and all of that, but I'm just reflecting right now on life, my family, all of our lives as human beings, and just talking about, how our elders didn't necessarily get to learn things. They didn't have certain focus. They didn't get to have certain help developing as people. You know, there's a lot of things on people's hearts, a lot of gifts, a lot of ideas that just never came forward simply because maybe a lot of our elders didn't have the confidence. They didn't have nobody speak into them to bring certain things forward. So they develop and become older people who have a hard time even learning how to say "I love you" to their own children, and that has an effect on their children's children. And as they get older, and people pass into the spirit, we don't recognize it. We're not prepared in our lives how that shapes us and how that changes us as people, as human beings. We're not necessarily taught that. There are so many things that just happen in between our lives as we're just moving about living for survival as human beings that we don't recognize until we get older, or we feel like it's too late and we could deal with it now. We can focus on it now while we're alive, while we have energy, while we have time. You know, we're dealing with what we call ourselves as human beings. We're It's inside of us. It's substance. It's memory. It's experiences. It's things that we've been through. It's things that we've developed over time. We didn't know everything that we know now. We were once babies that didn't know anything. Didn't know anything at all. And now we're whoever we are as adults and know what we know up to this point, which means that we're shapeable. We're constantly expanding or collapsing. And that in a large part is due to our memory, what we remember, what we learn, what stays inside of us and with us. That's what we're made up of. Our memories with our people, our memories with our loved ones, the experiences we have with people we meet in the world. These things are saved in us like a hard drive. We're a living hard drive as human beings, and we're not taught to, and we really don't tend to that. As I reflect and think about my grandfather as he's in and out the hospital and I talk to him and just hearing his voice is different. People aren't the same. He's not the same person that I knew some years back, even 10 years ago. He's shaping into a different side of himself, even having to face life in an experience that we are all yet to experience, getting closer towards transitioning back to spirit again. And we don't need the reminders when death comes, what we call death. I don't like to use that word per se, that being like a person's end, because we don't end. We just keep transitioning and transforming, in my understanding, because that's what we all are. We're a part of a continual line of life, living and living on and on and on. And inside of each one of us is all the life from before. And when we create our kids, another chain continues on. But we don't take care of paying attention to the wholeness of the cycle of our lives and knowing how to live in a system like that with each other as human beings. We're forgetting. Our memories are fading because we're not processing. People aren't feeling. They're just trying to survive. We're just here dealing with technology. How am I, Helena? I'm fine. Thank you for asking. My heart is a little heavy because I want to speak more, and this is one of my first times I'm actually using YouTube live just to try it out and see how it's working. So, how are you guys? How are you doing? But to get back to what I'm saying, it's just I'm thinking about that. You know, you look at movies like It. I'm looking at It right now. I haven't seen the TV series, and it's all in the flow of this thought and this conversation with the fact that our psychic life becomes our physical life in a lot of ways. What we have going on inside our heads, our hearts, this is what we express through the body as an energy, as a person. What we do physically is the evidence of spirit. It's the secondary, and things happen in spirit first, from inside of each one of us. And to tend to that in a healthy and balanced way, you have to be aware of that. And our awareness, as I was saying, is largely as human beings, our awareness is being chipped away. Because for one, a lot of us just don't know. It's not being discussed often. We weren't taught a few different things. But for the sake of sharing my thoughts and what's on my mind, and as the spirit just is flowing and talking to me, like I was taking notes and just trying to write various thoughts, because I'm feeling trapped right now in my life where I'm around people, but I'm really not. Like my life is sort of isolated in an interesting way. And my heart desires to connect and talk to people a lot more. But I'm not really a fan of also putting my voice and my image constantly on these platforms and training and updating these systems and all that type of stuff. But yet and still, this is where most of us are. This is what we're dealing with as human beings now. This is where we all are. Most people are isolated away in their houses because people are fucking exhausted. Dealing with each other, dealing with life, dealing with things. But yet and still, we have to connect because that's where the power is. Connecting with one another. That's what this life thing is about. The greatest glory of life that we're all going to experience is through one another, through another human being. The worst thing you're going to experience and the best things you're going to experience is through one another. So just like some of the notes I was writing, like there are psychic horrors that people carry within them, and they move about in our lives through cycles, meaning they're inside of us. You go through something when you was young, and it impacts you, and there's a memory there, and now you get older, and life moves in cycles like the seasons. And you would think because you don't feel it or it's not in your awareness at a time that it's not there with you or around you or in you. And these are how sporadic shit comes back from later in people's lives as they get older because things move in cycles. Going back to referencing it when I was saying I was watching it. There are psychic horrors in our lives, and whether a person takes the energy and the intent to develop the mental or psychic awareness, the focus to grapple with processing or feeling, uh, accepting, loving themselves enough to no longer give power to fear, to create these realities or any reality. The more we can be aware of and embody the truth of ourselves as the creators and authors of our story. Someone said, Ra, I'm the only Kenzie. I'm new to this. Y'all gotta forgive me. I'm new to live. I'm even shocked that anybody was even joining. Hey. But I'm definitely gonna try to stay more consistent and talk more, share more on YouTube, share more of my artwork, share more of my story, share more of my processes and these thoughts, because that's why we're here, y'all. We're really here to share and connect with each other. There's no goodness in all these great things that human beings come up with, feel, think, have inside of us every day. And the world's just going to shit because mostly we're just all seeing and consuming and processing bullshit. But the greatest thing we can do, especially as men at that, is to be like the sun and come outside, come up in the sky, be in your place that nature set for you, and to play your role and express, spread your light, spread what's inside of yourself through the word. If you have the right things to say, if you have something that the spirit put in your heart to talk to people or to share, or a message that can hit somebody else's heart and spirit, because we all interconnected, you know, then that's what we should be doing. We all a part of one big body that we call God, all of us. But it always gets more specific because we all come from that one big body, which I like to say we share one soul. And even get specific, we come from families. And even that family is sharing a specific soul. It has a specific expression of itself in nature, because we are an extension of nature. We are a system. But the way that we live is outside of that system, or outside of that knowing, outside of that focus, outside of a lot of shit. And we tend to just be born and trained and grow up in a system that was preset for us, in a way of thinking, in a way of feeling, in a way of processing life that was set for us. And that's not a problem. It's a problem that systems don't update themselves, that they don't troubleshoot, that they don't actually progress. And a lot of our ways of thinking are totally outside of the nature and the foundational function of who and what we are at the core of what we call human beings. I'm sure I probably sound like I'm talking about a lot of stuff all over the place. But nonetheless, just flowing from the heart. So life moves in cycles. And the energy that we have, the fire, the light, the energy to be alive, was given to us to develop, create, and be used to take care of life, as life also takes care of us through nature, environment, people. The clothes that we get to wear comes through nature, through the earth. The food we eat, the houses that we live in. Everything is to service, it's been of service to us as human beings. And we tend to go wrong ourselves when we are not taught that, we don't know that, or we haven't even been blessed as we should be with the experience of love with the experience of that knowing from our loved ones, our elders who are before us, to put that inside of us, to give us memories like that, so that as we shape and develop, we blossom into people who express the beauty of just that blessing, that psychic blessing that you can be in the world. Just the same way flowers, the way flowers are when they're in blossom and they're beautiful and all their colors and things like that, and people walk by, they appreciate him. They appreciate his beauty. They appreciate his expression. You know, that's how we are or supposed to be as people. And as of now, there's so many distractive things, distractive words. There's so many technology, politics, you know, just that have nothing to do with the focus of adding more life or speaking more life into ourselves with one another. So, as I was saying, as I reflect on our elders, my grandfather, his life, you know, the way I see it is like my grandfather's life is my life in an alternate reality, right? His form is here, but it took a line of men all the way since the beginning of time for him to be here, which I know my great grandfather, his father, for him to be here, and for my grandfather to be here, for my father to be here, for me to be here, you know, my little brother too. And my children, for them to be here, and just keeping up with your own story, how important that is, how knowing the wins, the trials, the triumphs of your own story through your grandfather, through your grandmother, through your father, through your mother, and living your life in focus of that, not getting lost in this survival wheel, this wheel of just living day to day to day, trying to gain material things. But in fact, we're here to use material things, to relate to material things, to harmonize with material things, and impress our spirit upon them, and to share the beauty that nature, God put inside of us to share and to bring out, not to be stuck and constipated and then turned into cancers and turned into illnesses and turned into diseases and turned into certain type of psychoses and mental dispositions we have because we're not using who and what we are, our life force, our soul, to create what we know we can, what we're capable, and what we really want to. Even because a lot of us don't love ourselves. We was never taught that. Many people wasn't taught that. They was taught they got a false teaching of that through just looking outside in the world and letting the world to teach you. But in a real way, knowing what matters, even if you have to be the first one, even if you have to be the first one and allowing yourself to go through that journey in your family, the first one to do it, and to allow yourself to go on that type of journey um, where you see that courage hasn't been there, maybe even from your parents or from your grandparents. But to be that one because you know that you're connected to a whole body, to a whole family, to a whole collective, and that you're not separate from it, though it appears so momentarily. You know, we go from being little babies to this, to being older, God willing, we make it through and live wisely. And that's a beautiful thing. It's a heavy thing. It don't got to be made heavy and all of that. I ain't trying to be all morbid and shit, but just being 100 with it, like, this is life. And if we can help it while we got the energy on it, long as we put our awareness on the right thing and focus on it, put your matters of your mind, of your life, of your own ability that you have, because you have it. Each last one of us, you got it. You got something in you, and it's got to come out. It's got to reach other human beings. It's got to come out into the world. If it's just a word, speak it. If it's something you wanted to create that's just in you, create it, write it, do it. You know, if it's something you want to say to your family member, somebody you love, somebody you care about, do it. Don't wait. There's nothing we need to wait for. There's nothing you need to wait. You're here to create. You're here to relate. You're here to be in order with people, to be of service to life, to be of service to nature through people. which includes you. You also should be in service to yourself. You should be in service to the life around you. And then you'll even see how life responds to you in that way because you're the author and the creator. You're the writer, you know. Again, this is my first live. This is my first time talking. I didn't really have a specific subject matter. I was even shocked that anybody joined. And I'm even shocked that anybody liked the video. So I think I'm gonna just end here now. I really appreciate those who took the time to come and join randomly and hear me express my thoughts. And I appreciate this as a good little exercise to try to get into more. I have more thoughts and more notes from last night. I was just coming through a lot. I'm gonna share more. I'm gonna get more consistent, more intentional. Cause that's what it's all about, y'all. We all are born into generations, and with each generation comes messages, thoughts. There are certain things that we bring into the world with us and that are made for us for this time. We have issues and we have answers. We have problems, we have solutions, and we are each an answer to that. We are each a part of that, you know, so I want to make sure I'm doing my part, not just in my own individual life, but to the greater family, to the greater life that extends beyond me, you know. So maybe I'll just read some small stuff that was coming through to me before I was going to sleep yesterday, and I'll just end this live here. God wants to work through the hearts and minds of his people. His, her, whichever you prefer. But when a vessel gets polluted, then it becomes weakened as a generator of its source. To purify, one must cleanse the heart. This can happen in the interior self, but also be purged and released into the exterior self, which would be what you see around you and sense with your senses. Images, sounds, memories, thoughts, feelings must be made free and alleviated from restraint. What is this? From restraint and stress, or repression and stress, and also spoken and confessed. Also, people's bodies start to rebel because people are not listening to the body. She is intelligent. She knows. She is the mother. Meaning, your body, you inherit from your mother, which comes from a long line of women. Since the beginning, since the first, what we call woman as being the Mother Earth planet, like, springs forth the first woman, human, as we call one another. And then the mothers that create mothers, 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 so on and so forth. We have our mother, this body, this earth we live on and inherit, which is our first order to take care of. And then we have, which you can say in likeness, our father, which is our mind, our psyche, our psychology, our essence, our brain and our spinal column, our nervous system is like the father. And this is, we bring them together, and this is who we are, what we have. Packed in with all the memory of all the life that came before you. And then you building on top of it. May you build it well. May you develop well. May you love well. May you be loved well. The light, the love that you give into the world, may you also receive it in multitudes. Whoever it is that's interacting and watching with this video, I appreciate you. I'm going to try to end this now. I'm going to try to do more of this and sending love out to the world, to all the good people out there. Peace to you today, to your day. Have a beautiful week. No, what's today? Thursday? Weekend. All right, y'all.